laptop will be muted.
ठीक है भाई.
कस्तूरी तिलकम ललाट पटले वक्षस्थले कौस्तुभम नासाग्रे वर्मौक्तिकम करतले वेणुकरे कंकणम सर्वांगे हरिचंदनम सुललितम कंठे च मुक्तावली गोपास्त्री परिवेष्टितो विजयते गोपाल चूड़ामणि वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंस चानूरमर्दनम देवकी परमानंदम कृष्णं वंदे जगद्गुरुं कृष्णं वंदे जगद्गुरुं गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरु साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरुवे नमः तस्मै श्री गुरुवे नमः. Reading from Srimad Bhagwat Mahapuran, Canto 7, Skand 7. We are into the episodes related to Bhakt Prahlad, the great devotee called Prahlad ji, and how he was tormented by Hiranyakashipu, his father, because his father envied Lord Vishnu. He wanted to avenge the killing of his brother Hiranyaksh. So the chapters in this canto, they number 15, and it is started with the dialogue between Yudhishthir ji and Narad ji, because while Bhagavad was being explained by Sukhdev Goswami to Parikshit ji Maharaj, who is listening to the Bhagavad Katha in the last 7 days of his life, he has been cursed by Shringi Rishi, whose father Samik was meditating, and Parikshit Maharaj had put a dead serpent in his neck. So this had infuriated the son Shringi Rishi, and Shringi had cursed Parikshit Maharaj that the Takshat serpent will bite you and you will die in 7 days. It was possible for Parikshit Maharaj to counter the attack, but he realized that he had made a grave mistake by insulting the sage under the influence of Kali, about which we have already spoken about, that how Kali came into the yug, and how the 4 places were granted to Kali, and the 5th place, which had to be created because the 4 places did not exist in the kingdom, that was gold, and that is how the effect of Kali affected Parikshit ji, and he enacted this offense, and now he is very much willing to bear the consequences. So his son Janmejay, he wanted to attack the snakes, and in fact, if I recall, he had started attacking the snakes all over, but that was stopped, and Parikshit Maharaj decided to sit on the glorious Bhagavad Katha place and listen to Bhagavad Katha, for which from nowhere Shukdev ji Maharaj appeared, who was only 16 years old at that time, and he narrated Bhagavad Katha. In that Bhagavad Katha, Sut ji Maharaj was also present, and later he narrated this Katha to his 88,000 disciples. They are called Shaunakadik Rishis. So that is conversation number 2. Conversation number 1, Parikshit ji and Sukhdev ji. And then there is a third narration between Maitreya ji and Vidur ji. So these three conversations are the main conversation in the entire Bhagavad Mahapuran. But in between, we also hear such conversation like Yudhishthir ji and Narad ji. So this was in the context when Parikshit Maharaj was listening to the killing of Shishupal, because Shishupal was very much abusive and insulting to Krishna. And Krishna had given the promise that 100 offenses I will tolerate, but not more than that. So when he kept on abusing and he crossed the 100 mark, Shri Krishna, without being affected by all the insults in the assembly, he took out his Sudarshan Chakra, he called for his Sudarshan Chakra and beheaded Shishupal. But Shishupal's soul went and merged into Sri Krishna. So this was a question by Parikshit Maharaj, that this person was abusive, he envied you, he was always against you. And how is it that Shishupal's soul was acceptable to Krishna? So that question had been raised by Yudhishthir ji, because in the assembly of Yudhishthir Maharaj, this incident had taken place, and Narad ji had answered him that the Lord is so merciful, he is causelessly merciful, and he is Akaran Karun, that it doesn't matter in what sentiment you are connected to the Lord, whether it is a sentiment of hatred or whether it is a sentiment of fear. In either case, the Lord accepts the connection. For example, there is this Paras money, the philosophical gold. If you touch iron with the Paras money, the iron becomes gold. Now the point is whether you touch the iron with Paras money in an angry mood or in a loving mood, the iron will become Paras money. The same philosophy applies here. Kans was fearful of Krishna, so he also attained Krishna, because all the time he used to fear Krishna. Shishupal was abusive and insulting. All the time his mind was obsessed with Krishna, so he also attained Krishna. Gopis were loving Krishna in the loving way and in the most pleasant way, and they also attained Krishna. So that is the context. First chapter, dialogue between Yudhishthir ji and Narad ji. And then we read about how Hiranyakashipu was born to Diti. His brother Hiranyaksh was killed by Varah Avatar. How Hiranyakashipu obtained the boon from Narad ji, and how he terrorized everyone. And then how Hiranyakashipu oppressed Prahlad ji, and finally how Prahlad ji imparted knowledge to the Asur Putra. So we have covered some of these topics. So we shall read from the chapter which is due for today. But let us begin with a Kavali today. A Kavali, you can call it bhajan also, because it's the glories of the Lord, but it is written in a Kavali format, I guess. So let us sing this bhajan. रहवर जहाँ से प्यारा अल्लाह ने दिया है, अल्लाह ने दिया है, रहवर जहाँ से प्यारा अल्लाह ने दिया है, रहवर जहाँ से प्यारा या खुद ही बस गया है. Can you enlarge the या खुद ही बस गया है, या खुद ही बन गया है। अल्लाह इतना प्यारा, अल्लाह ने दिया है। आंखों में जाने क्या है जादू, आंखों में जाने क्या है जादू भरा इशारा, आंखों में जाने क्या है जादू भरा इशारा, जिसने भी देखा खोया होश हवास सारा, जिसने भी देखा, जिसने भी देखा खोया होश हवास सारा, अल्लाह ने दिया है। रहबर जहां से न्यारा, या खुद ही बन गया है। अल्लाह इतना प्यारा, अल्लाह ने दिया है। If anyone wants to sing, please raise your hands. अलमस्त चाल से जब रहबर चले हमारा, अलमस्त चाल से जब रहबर चले हमारा, तौबा रे तौबा सब कुछ वह लुट ले हमारा, तौबा रे तौबा सब कुछ वह लूट ले हमारा, अल्लाह ने दिया है। रहबर जहां से न्यारा, अल्लाह ने दिया है। रहबर जहां से न्यारा, अल्लाह ने दिया है। यारो बचे रहो बस इसमें भला तुम्हारा, यारो यारो बचे रहो बस इसमें भला तुम्हारा, यारो बचे रहो बस इसमें भला तुम्हारा, छिन जाएगा नहीं तो दोनों जहां तुम्हारा, छिन जाएगा नहीं तो दोनों जहां तुम्हारा, अल्लाह ने दिया है। रहबर जहां से न्यारा, अल्लाह ने दिया है। रहबर जहां से न्यारा, या खुद ही बन गया है, या खुद ही बन गया है। अल्लाह इतना प्यारा, अल्लाह ने दिया है। राधे गोविंद राधे, राधे गोविंद राधे, राधे गोविंद राधे। राधे गोविंद राधे, 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 राधे गोविंद राधे। अल्लाह ने दिया है रहबर जहां से न्यारा, रहबर जहां से न्यारा, रहबर जहां से न्यारा। बोलिए श्रीमद सदगुरु सरकार की जय, श्रीमद जुगल सरकार की जय। जय जय श्री राधे, जय जय श्री राधे, जय जय श्री राधे। Our koti koti pranam to the lotus feet of Sri Hari and Sri Guru. Our koti koti pranam to Swami Mukundananji. My humble pranam to each one of you. And today we shall read from the chapter 4. Hiranyakashipu terrorizes. Narad continues that with this renewed power, Hiranyakashipu took control of all the three worlds and made everybody, including Devatas, serve him. Even Narad Muni asserts that he was also forced to sing praises of Hiranyakashipu due to the power of his very powerful penance. All sacrificial fire were conducted for his benefit only. All creation, including mountains, valleys, and 7 oceans, were obliged to provide him with all their produces gifts. Thus he became arrogant and was drunk with power and wine too, and violated all principles mentioned in the Shastras and holy books. But Hiranyakashipu never found peace of mind despite power and opulences, as he was obsessed with pleasing his senses. When his torture became unbearable, the Devatas approached Lord Vishnu for protection. They silently and calmly waited and worshipped upon Lord Vishnu, giving up and eating, surviving only for breathing. Then a divine voice was heard and assured them that their miseries of Hiranyakashipu is well known and shall very soon come to an end, and he would perish soon. He will be slain by me when he troubles my great devotee Prahlad beyond all limits. So this was the Akashvani, the voice from the Lord, which assured that he will be given some time, but eventually he will be killed. So when we think about the geography, we shouldn't just think about our Earth planet. Very clearly it is mentioned Hiranyakashipu reign was in all the 7 dweep. What are the 7 dweep? Jambu Dweep, Palaksh Dweep, Kush Dweep, Shak Dweep, Shalmali Dweep, Kronch Dweep, and Pushkar Dweep. These are the 7 concentric islands around Jambu Dweep, and it goes beyond millions of miles. Whereas when we are talking about our Earth, it is only 8,000 miles in diameter. So the Bhumandal is huge, and Hiranyakashipu was really ruling the entire Bhumandal. So in the second slide, which I will read and then I'll hand over, reassured the Devatas returned, and subsequently Hiranyakashipu was born with 4 sons. Prahlad was the preeminent among them. He had the most tranquil nature, was extremely polite, accorded respect to all, Including his father, he was completely free from pride and arrogance. Naradji says that such were his qualities that all wise men till date try to develop their virtues themselves. Even Devatas hold him as a role model. O Yudhishthir, words are not sufficient to describe the greatness of Prahlad. Even as an infant, he was only obsessed with Krishna and saw the Lord everywhere. He showed all symptoms of crying, dancing, fainting, going mute, horripilation, that is goosebumps, while remembering the Supreme Lord. Due to him, his Gurukul ashram turned into satsang. So, such an illustrious and high soul son was being troubled by Hiranyakashipu. Yudhishthir questions Naradji from when and where Hiranyakashipu started troubling his son. Because it is a fact that fathers always dote on their son and at the most only scold their son only to improve them if they are disobedient or irresponsible. So, how did Hiranyakashipu oppress his obedient and pious son Prahlad? So, this slide is self explanatory. So, I hand over to Santosh ji and Vijay ji to let others read.
Yes,
Sheila ji wants to.
Yes, Sheila Didi, you want to read?
Thank you. Narad answers Yudhishthir's questions. As Hiranyakashipu's guru, Shukracharya was away. His two sons, Guru Putra, Sanda and Amark, were responsible for the teaching of all the children. Prahlad could very easily grasp what was being taught about enemies, about war, what he did not like, but he did not like what was being taught. Hiranyakashipu once asked Prahlad, "What do you consider and learn as good?" Prahlad replies, "O demon king, one who abandons his home to seek his own self and takes refuge in Sri Hari is good according to me." Hiranyakashipu laughingly dismissed it something as peer influence of his enemies, Vaishnav children. He then instructed the two teachers to ensure that no impostor enemy is studying in the ashram in disguise. The Guru Putras asked Prahlad to honestly tell his source of knowledge, which was not being taught by them. Prahlad informed that it's only by the grace of the Supreme Lord and that only the Lord could change his outlook and make it universal, accepting every creation as the Supreme. Prahlad also confirmed that his mind gets drawn to Lord Vishnu just like a magnet. Prahlad replies that he had learned to hear the name, praises, and stories of Lord Vishnu, chant them, also always remember the names and stories, to do seva of Lord Vishnu, to worship Lord Vishnu, to offer salutation to Lord Vishnu, practice karma yoga, treat him as friend, offer everything to him. Prahlad continues that a person who observes the above listed 9 processes is considered as most learned, and Prahlad considers this the most excellent knowledge that he has learned. On hearing this, Hiranyakashipu was furious with the Guru Putras and considered them as enemy posing as friends by teaching Prahlad about his sworn enemy Vishnu. The Guru Putra clarified that they had nothing to do with this. So Hiranyakashipu confronted Prahlad again for the source of his knowledge. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll go next probably. So Prahlad replies, those who are attached to the world keep on moving in this transmigration cycle. The impure mind keeps attached to the rituals in the world and its objects as their goals. They fail to worship Lord Vishnu, nor they get satsang. Only with the devoted worship of Lord Vishnu's lotus feet can a person hope to come out of this cycle of birth and death. Hiranyakashipu, now bland with anger, pushed Prahlad out of his lap onto the floor and asked his soldiers to kill him. as he held Prahlad responsible for his own uncle Hiranyaksh's death. By worshipping the slayer Vishnu, he considered that even Prahlad's love to Vishnu was no good, as Prahlad was untrustworthy as he had rejected the love of his parents also. By disobeying them, he felt a diseased limb is best to cut to save the body.
Yeah.
Then he instructed his guards to kill Prahlad in any which way possible. The guards pierced the calm Prahlad with their spears but still couldn't harm him. The guards then tried to harm Prahlad by throwing him under elephants, putting him with deadly serpents, throwing him from cliffs, giving poison, starving him, exposing him to extreme weather, crushing him under rocks. But Prahlad still was hale and hearty. Hiranyakashipu now got worried that Prahlad was invincible due to some power and would extract revenge from his father. Seeing this, the Guru Putra then advised Hiranyakashipu to wait till their father Sukracharya came back to find a definite resolution to deal with Prahlad. In the meantime, Prahlad went back to Gurukul. His classmates were innocent and used to call him to play. On one such day, Prahlad, on the request of his friendly mate, started giving the divine discourse to the other children. I think that's pretty much.
Thank you very much. So that is the story, and then we will go on to the takeaway. So pretty much a straightforward story. The personality Hiranyaksh, Hiranyakashipu, and Naraji giving Hiranyakashipu such a boon, and then Hiranyakashipu terrorizing the entire world, and the two sons of Shukracharya, Shand and Amark, they were instructed to teach Prahladji the different types of knowledge, but Prahladji is only interested in the divine knowledge. So and about the Guru Putra, yes, who were there teachers. So that is the story episode for today. Let us first conclude the takeaway, which is the next slide, and then we will have the next course of discussions. So here I somehow was inspired to bring forth the Chatushloki Bhagwat. So the Chatushloki Bhagwat is the origin of this Bhagwat Mahapuran. Like in Bhagavad Gita, if you start chapter 4, Gyan Karma Sannyas Yog, that is chapter 4. First chapter, Arjun Vishad Yog, lamentation by Arjun about the consequences of the war. Second chapter, Sankhya Yog, analytical study of the soul, body, mind mechanism. Third chapter, Karma Yoga, the yoga of action. And the fourth chapter, Gyan Karma Sannyas Yoga, where the Karma Yoga is compared with the branch of Gyan, branch of Sannyas. That chapter begins with a shlok. Imam vivasvate yogam proktavanaham abhyayam vivaswan manave praha manur ikshva ke bravita. The first verse of Bhagavad Gita says, Sri Krishna is telling Arjun, O Arjun, I have spoken this knowledge, I have made a discourse of this knowledge millions and millions years ago to sun god Vivaswan. Then Vivaswan instructed this knowledge to his son Manu. Manu passed this knowledge on to Ikshvaku, and this is how the knowledge has percolated down. But what happens from time to time, the knowledge gets lost. So it has to be revived. So this is very logical. The knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, the knowledge of Bhagavad Mahapuran is eternal. How long is this universe? It is eternal. In the eternal universe, so many different universes are in the multiverse. The universes are created, and that universe vanishes after trillions of years, but the souls don't vanish. They remain in the system. They reappear. So the soul is eternal, God is eternal. Only the physical manifestation, the material world, the material body, everything material vanishes and they reappear. And the souls reappear. So the story in Bhagwat Mahapuran is that once Brahma has been manifested from the navel of Garbhodakshai Vishnu, he emerges from the lotus. He is the first created personality. But he is not having the knowledge what he needs to do. So that's when the Lord comes in the form of Narayan and he gets to hear the Chatushloki Bhagwat. The entire Bhagwat only in 4 verses. So this is there in the earlier canto, which we have gone through. We are repeating it once again because this is so beautiful. So what are the shlokas in the Chatushloki Bhagwat? अहमेवासमेवाग्रे नान्यद् यत् सद सत्परम पश्चादहं यदत्ते च यो अवशिष्येत सोऽस्म्यहम् ऋते अर्थं यत् प्रतीयेत न प्रतीयेत चात्मनि तद्विद्यात्मनो मायां यथा आभासो यथा तमः यथा महान्ति भूतानि भूतेषु चावचेष्वनु प्रविष्टान्य प्रविष्टानि तथा तेषु न तेष्वहम् यतावदेव जिज्ञास्यं तत्त्वजिज्ञासुनात्मनः अनन्यैव तिरेकाभ्यां यत्स्यात् सर्वत्र सर्वदा. So this entire 4 shlokas are the basis of the 18,000 shlokas which we are reading now in Bhagwat Mahapuran, which was expanded by Vyasadeva, who is the literature incarnation of the Lord. He is also playing a Leela. He is the Lord himself, but he has taken the role of the compiler of all this Vedic literature. So he picked up this knowledge from his father, who is Lord Parasha, and he composed Bhagwat Mahapuran. Also, after Narayan has spoken Chatushloki Bhagwat to Brahmaji. Brahmaji spoke that Bhagwat to Naradji, and Naradji also passed it on to other personalities. So there is a very beautiful sequence. Now let us see the meaning of these 4 Chatushloki Bhagwat. The first shlok says, God says, I was even before the world originated. I am at present, and even after this world ends, only I will remain there. I am timeless, none other. So very important knowledge. None of us will dispute that even when this particular universe in which we are living is destroyed, God will remain. What seems there to be real, but in fact there is nothing. For example, image in a mirror, and even though there seems to be nothing, but it is real. For example, Rahu in the sky, such illusions are my Maya. So 2 examples are given. When we see the shadow in the mirror, it appears real, but actually it is not real. It is just a shadow. And when we see the sky, we don't see Rahu. It is invisible, but actually it is there. So that which makes the invisible visible and the visible invisible, consider that to be the Maya. Very beautiful. The third one, since everything is made up of myself, so I am inside them, but since they are something, I am also not inside them. So God is there in every atom because everything has come out from God. but because they are something, that means they are not God, so he is not inside them. So that is the Advait concept which we get from the third shlok. And the fourth is, a person in search of truth must only know that through the way of proof by Ananya method, Anvaya method, or through Vyatirek, I am there at all places and at all times. So you would have heard the phrase, neti neti. Is this God? Is this God? No, no, no. So there are two methods of logic. One is called Anvay and another is called Vyatirek. By both methods, it is established that God is there in all places and God is there in all times. So a person who is seeking the truth, he should know only this much and nothing beyond. These are the four Chaturshloki Bhagwat. This is the takeaway knowledge from today. So if we have completed the slides, we should now open up the discussions, because some of you raise very pertinent points which enlighten all of us. Over to Sri Santosh and Sri Vijay.
Thank you so much, Rajesh Bhaiya, for the detailed explanation and how, because this Chatusloki Bhagavad, I remember like we read when we started, but we forgot it. So thanks for putting all this sloks in between and reminding us what is the sar of the whole reading, like Bhagavatam. So with that, I'll just open up to all of us, like if anybody has any questions related to their spirituality or bhakti or devotion or anything like that, they can ask the questions, or if they want to, say like what they have learned today, they can also, give their feedback. Mohit, you want to go?
Yeah, thank you, Bhaiya. Rajesh Bhaiya, one question. So,
Yeah.
can you tell me the actual meaning of Anvay and Vyatirek? What exactly that means? I hear those words a lot of time, but I don't know the actual meaning of Anvay and Vyatirek.
Yeah, it is not very simple to understand because it is a subject in itself, the subject of logic. But let me tell you with an example. For example, we always heard Bhakti Marg alone will take us to our destination. There is no other marg which can take us to our destination. So how do you prove this? So the logicians, they come out with criteria. They will pose a few set of questions, and the answer of that question will determine whether the bhakti marg is a complete marg, or whether gyan marg is the complete marg, or whether karma marg is the complete marg. So they pose questions like, can you reach the destination by bhakti marg? And the answer is yes. I mean, they will explain, the experts will explain how they say the answer is yes.
Mm-hmm.
So this logic, the logic number one, that can bhakti take you to the destination, this logic is called Anvay logic. And the second type of logic, can you reach bhakti marg can you reach the destination without adopting bhakti marg? That kind of knowledge, that type of logic is called Vyatirek. So let us stop here. We can, let us gather this much for the time being, and then maybe we can reflect some more. But just to complete the criteria for bhakti, so the five conditions, Sri Maharaji says that bhakti, without bhakti marg, you cannot reach the destination, and with bhakti marg, you can reach. And why without bhakti? Does bhakti need other supports? So the answer is no. But when you say Gyan Marg, Gyan Marg requires some criteria to be fulfilled before we practice Gyan Marg. Similarly, there is another criteria. Is it available to all? Bhakti Marg is available to all, which is not the case with Gyan Marg. Gyan Marg is available to the qualified ones. Similarly, the last one, is it required once you achieve the goal? So the knowledge becomes secondary when Bhakti Marg takes you to the destination, which is not the case in other Marg. So very interesting topic, but very complex. I don't think I have enough inputs to satiate your question, but this
I've
much
got the
I can tell
idea.
you right now.
I've
Okay.
got the idea. Thanks a lot, Rajesh
Okay.
Bhaiya. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thanks, Mohit Bhaiya, for asking the question. Anybody else has any question?
Yes, please.
Control
Could I ask a question, Bhaiya?
Everyone can ask a question,
Everyone
please.
can ask.
Okay. The question is from the Chatushloki Bhagwat, the third bit of it, because it's got 4 parts, the third part. I didn't understand the bit where it says, I am in, that Bhagwan says, or Krishna Bhagwan says, that he is in Karnka. Is in every atom. And then it says, if somebody thinks, I don't quite remember the second part of the third bit. Could
So,
you make
yeah,
a...
so we will have to read it multiple times to start to gain some knowledge. So in one reading, it is not possible. I am also learning, but I read once or twice, and like today, you have raised a question. So like we can try once. So let us first read what it says, the shlok. It says, जैसे प्राणियों के पंचभूत रचित छोटे बड़े शरीरों में आकाशादि पंच महाभूत उन शरीरों के कार्य रूप से निर्मित होने के कारण प्रवेश करते भी हैं और पहले से ही उन स्थानों और रूपों में कारण रूप से विद्यमान रहने के कारण प्रवेश नहीं भी करते, वैसे ही उन प्राणियों के शरीर की दृष्टि से मैं उनमें आत्मा के रूप से प्रवेश किए हुए हूं और आत्म दृष्टि से अपने अतिरिक्त और कोई वस्तु न होने के कारण उनमें प्रविष्ट नहीं भी हूं. So this is a fuller explanation to your question. I wish I had written this, but there it is in a much shorter form. So here it is saying that the Lord is giving an example, and again I'm attempting this. Out of these 4, I also found the third one very, very difficult to understand, and to be honest, I have not understood. The second one is easy.
Yeah.
Like the mirror example, the shadow is visible but not real. Rahu is invisible but real. So that is the nature of Maya. Second one is easy. First one is also relatively easier. Before creation, I was there, and after creation, I will be there. But the third one, Sheila ji, we will have to study it together. But I will send you the text which I read, where the Lord is saying that he is there in every person. He is giving the example of the human, the living being, because he has entered as the Paramatma. So from that point of view, he is there in us. But apart from him, there is no other entity. So if there is some entity apart from him, he says, I'm not there, because nothing can exist without him. So it is very complex. And I guess if anyone can understand all this, he becomes very, very elevated. So let us learn it together. I'm sorry I cannot answer to the full extent.
Thank you. Thank you, Bhaiya.
Thank you.
Such a nice discussion. Thank you so much, Didi, and for raising this question. And we will also try to understand based on our intellect. Like Yeah. So anybody?
Actually, okay, just because no one else is raising hand. So all I want to say is, for example, when a time came in our life when we started understanding what is quantum mechanics or what is theory of relativity, those who pursued physics. So it was not possible to understand quantum mechanics, or it was not possible to understand Newtonian mechanics when we were in class 7. So there is a systematic progression. We have to learn the basics, the tattva gyan, and slowly. So even in the material realm, the highest knowledge is very much inaccessible until we qualify. So what to talk of spiritual knowledge? It has to be very, very esoteric, because the Lord is telling in Bhagavad Gita that no one can understand me. So we should be very much contented that because of Sri Maharajji, we are able to even come to this much understanding, and his preachers like Swami Mukundan.
Yeah, true. So anybody else has a question, or they want to say what they have learned over here?
Sohini ji ne haath uthaya.
Sohini Didi, yes. Okay.
Radhe Radhe Bhaiya. Thank you for such a enlightening session again. I have for the first time heard the Chaturshloki Bhagwat in such detail. And like you said, nobody can explain it, because it's impossible. It's in 4 shloks what we hear in the full Bhagwat. The 18,000 shlokas. So it is a huge task to understand the 4 in a few minutes. So like you said, it would be good to learn with you as we go on. And like Maharaji says also, this is all divine knowledge, and it keeps changing according to your understanding, according to time and your situation. So yeah, hopefully one day we'll reach there and we'll understand the whole scripture.
It depends, yeah. It depends on, sorry to cut you, it depends on our hunger.
Yes.
How hungry are we? So if we are lackadaisical in our approach, and if we want to have a very polished knowledge, that is very much contradictory from any yardstick. So definitely for the spiritual. So definitely there is a extreme demand for the interest. But the Lord is so merciful. When he sees the interest, he may make it very easy. That is my understanding. And perhaps we are all very fortunate that we got to know Sri Maharajji. Because before coming to Sri Maharajji, I had been wandering about in many, many places. But the kind of clarity that I got in Sri Maharajji's lecture, I mean, it was beyond imagination. So
Absolutely.
already we have the two grace. We have the human body, and we have a teacher. We have a guru who is Sri Maharajji. Now it is all about our hunger. How many of us want to come into Bhagwat session and spare 1 hour in a week to participate in the discussion, resolve our doubts, listen to the topic over and over again, learn from each other? Sorry, I interrupted. Go ahead, please.
That's okay. It's I had finished anyway, but thank you so
Okay.
much. Radhe Radhe Bhaiya.
Radhe, Radhe.
Thank you, Adi. Anybody else has any question? Ananya.
Oh.
Ananya has one question. Ananya, go ahead. You want to put on your video?
My question was from today's reading is that why did God give Hiranyakashipu all the powers when at the end he had to take it back?
So the God in his form Brahma, right? So God has made himself into Brahma as the creator. God has made himself into Shiva as the destroyer. God has made himself into Vishnu as the sustainer, maintainer. So every time Lord creates a universe, And how many universes are there? Infinite. So it is called Brahmand. In each Brahmand, there is a Brahma, there is a Vishnu, and there is a Shiv. That Brahma is in charge for creation, Shiv is in charge for destruction, and Vishnu is in charge for the maintenance. So who gave the boon? Lord in the form Brahma. So there is a, the equality also and inequality also. It is his role as Brahma, but there is the power which is superior to Brahma, and that is Shri Krishna. That is, we are talking about. So Brahmaji, yielded to the austerity of Hiranyakashipu because he was standing on his toe for many thousands of years, and his austerity and his tapasya was so intense that the entire Brahmand was trembling. So seeing all that, the kind of austerities he put himself, they eat only leaves, or they stop the leaves also, they stop breathing. All kinds of stories you will hear which is beyond our imagination. So when that kind of austerity was shown by Hiranyakashipu, Brahmaji came out and he said, okay, you asked for the boon. So the boon was given by Brahmaji. So what does the Lord do? Lord can violate the boon by Brahmaji because he has the power to overrule Brahmaji. But he loves his devotees so much. In this case, Brahmaji is his devotee, is his subordinate as a role. He wants to respect that. Okay, if you have given the boon, so be it. So the boon was he cannot be killed in the day, in the night, in the outside or inside, on the ground or in the sky. All those points were met, and he changed everything in such a beautiful way that he did not have to violate the boon because he wants to preserve the boon. There is a very interesting story about it. In Bhagavad Gita, there is a shlok. Chipram bhavati dharmatma shashwachantim nigacchati kaunteya pratijanihi name bhakta pranashyati. He says, O Arjun, he tells Arjun, O Arjun, go and declare to the world that my devotees never perish. And even the vilest person, the sinful person, the most sinful person, if he takes up to devotion, very soon he can become a purified soul. He doesn't perish. So question arises, why did he ask Arjun to go and declare? Why did he himself not declare? So there is the answer, which you have asked, a very important question today, which will be of very much use to all of us. Sometimes Lord can break his own promise. That's what he did when he killed Bhishma Pitama, when he lifted the weapon to attack Bhishma Pitama. He broke his promise. He is willing to take the stigma, the lanchan on himself, but he never, lets his devotees down. So I think, I hope the answer is clearer to you now.
Thank you.
Thank you. Vaibhav ji?
हाँ जी, राधे राधे भैया.
Radha.
Yeah, भैया, this session was really useful. It is the best start of the weekend to listen to all the divine spiritual Bhagavad knowledge, and we are blessed to have that. And my question was, like Prahlad was an enlightened soul, and Hiranyakashipu was his father. Now, in a way, he was like it's usually said in the world कि माता पिता की आज्ञा माननी चाहिए और माता पिता को दुख नहीं देना चाहिए. So he was, as if we see from a third person, he was disobedient to his father. Now we know that Hiranyakashipu was evil and he was an enlightened soul. Now, if I compare to the worldly scenarios, we also many a time see when a child in his young age, like studying in college, and he tries to follow a spiritual path. and the parents discourage it, who do not have the like the knowledge, the higher knowledge. They just feel, most of the parents, like in India or the Hindus, that just going to the temple and doing 2 times aarti is enough. You don't need to like devote all your things, all your time, and most of your time to the things. So the kids, they are said that your first duty is to be obedient to your parents, and you should not hurt your parents. Your parents want you to like focus on your studies and not do leave these spiritual things for the later part of life. So how do we like balance this, look at this scenario where a child is following the right path towards God, but he is in a way disobedient to the parents?
Okay. So the disobedience is justified because as a soul, our highest dharma is to serve God. So how a devotee will violate from that situation? Prahlad knows that subject so well. Can he ever ditch God? He cannot. At the same time, he has the complete affection for his father. He kept telling his father that father, and he never showed disrespect to him, despite the fact the father became so cruel. So that is the power of knowledge. When the power of knowledge is so clear, razor sharp, the person will not deviate, because he knows for sure whatever he is doing is the paradharma, the highest dharma. The other dharma becomes secondary. Of course, one has to be obedient to the father. But the higher knowledge is, each one of us has only one goal, to go back to God. That is what Lakshman also did. He defied his father. He defied everyone. In Ramayana, he says, Ram is my father, Ram is my mother, Ram is everything to me. I don't know my father Dashrath, I don't know X, Y, Z. Indirectly, you can interpret it like that. Lakshman also violated all the karm kand dharma about your duty to your father, your duty. So when the paradharma is in the question, that becomes the highest, and every other dharma becomes secondary. Ordinarily, people will not know it. That is why they will succumb to the worldly attachments, but that is not the case with Prahlad. Thank you.
Radhe Radhe Bhaiya, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yes. So I think the paradharma, that's the understanding of the paradharma.
That is
That's
understanding.
important.
That is why Bhagwan Shri Krishna in Bhagwat Gita in 1866 says, Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam braja. When you go into the shelter of Shri Krishna, no other dharma is applicable. There is only one dharma. If you do that, every other dharma is supposed to have already been done. So that is the mystery. Also, there are so many points to reflect, but let's reserve it for the next session. If Smita ji has anything to add.
Yes, Smita ji.
राधे राधे भैया।
राधे राधे।
भैया, जो अभी भैया ने जो सवाल किया ना, कि बहुत सारे पेरेंट्स अपने बच्चों को मतलब अभी बचपन की, जब वो बिल्कुल 6 to 10 के एज में है और उनको एक्सपोज नहीं होने देते भगवान के प्रति, और सोचते हैं कि अगर एक बार उसका मन इधर रम गया तो वो फिर कहीं और अपना जो सांसारिक धर्म और उसके जो सांसारिक लक्ष्य हैं, विद्या प्राप्त करना, ज्ञान ग्रहण करना, सारे सब्जेक्ट्स में अच्छा करना, अच्छा स्कोर करना और कुछ अचीव करना, जो कि दुनिया में देखें कि डॉक्टर बनो, इंजीनियर बनो या कोई प्रशासनिक पदाधिकारी बनो, उन सभी लक्ष्यों के प्रति ही सारे पेरेंट्स का ध्यान ज़्यादा होता है और भगवान के प्रति वो एक बाद की 50+ वाले रूटीन में आ जाता है। तो ये चीज़ उन्होंने बहुत सही सवाल किया है और बहुत सारे पेरेंट्स के दिमाग में यही रहता है कि अगर उसको एक बार भगवान में अनुराग हो गया तो वो बाकी सब कुछ छोड़ छाड़ के उसी दिशा में चल पड़ेगा। और इसी सोच के कारण वो उनको सही तरीके से इस प्रक्रिया में जुड़ने नहीं देते। और ये चीज इनफैक्ट मैंने खुद भी महसूस किया है कि जैसे ही आप एक बार भगवान में अपना मन रमाते हो तो आपको बाकी का कुछ भी अच्छा नहीं लगता या उसकी प्राथमिकता नहीं रह जाती। सबसे बड़ी प्राथमिकता यही रहती है कि चलो अभी ये हो रहा है, पहले ये करते हैं, बाकी सब कुछ को छोड़ो। तो ये चीज सही है कि भगवान में जो आज के इस एज में हम लोग जाकर भगवान के प्रति इतने श्रद्धालु हो पड़े हैं अचानक से, एटलीस्ट मेरे केस में मैं बता रही हूँ। और सचमुच में इतना मुझे इंडिया में भी नहीं लगाव हो पाया था जब मैं माँ पापा के साथ थी। और अचानक से पिछले 1 साल से मुझे ऐसा लग रहा है कि मैं इधर बहुत ज्यादा प्रवृत्त हो गई हूँ और मुझे बाकी चीजें मेरे लिए अभी गौण है और ये प्राथमिकता मेरी बन गई है। तो ये डर लोगों को रहता है, मेरे हस्बैंड को शायद, क्योंकि मैंने जब आप लोगों से जुड़ी तो मैंने सोचा अपने बेटे को भी हर दिन भजन में या ये जो आपकी भागवत की कथा होती है इसमें उसको भी रखो। तो उन्होंने कहा ये सारा कुछ एक्सपोज कर रही हूँ मैं, अगर वो सुनेंगे तो कहेंगे कि सारा कुछ सब जगह बोल देती है। लेकिन उन्होंने कहा कि स्मिता तुम करो, तुमको जो करना है, अभी इसको अपना जो काम है पढ़ाई लिखाई वो सब करने दो, एक बार उधर उसका ध्यान जाएगा फिर इधर वो नहीं ये कर पाएगा, जैसा कि उनका सोच था। लेकिन हालांकि मेरा ये सोच नहीं है, लेकिन मुझे भी ये फीलिंग है कि मेरी प्राथमिकता और कुछ नहीं है, फिलहाल ये हो गई है। क्योंकि मैं भगवान का भजन सुनती हूँ, मुझे अच्छा लगता है, मंदिर जाना अच्छा लगता है, आप लोगों के साथ यहाँ बैठना, टाइम जो भी हम लोग देते हैं एक दूसरे के साथ वो अच्छा लगता है। तो आई डोंट नो ये डर क्यों है और इसको कैसे मैं रिजॉल्व कर पाऊँ
Yeah,
अपने घर के लेवल पे ही। तो आप कुछ अच्छा सा आंसर दें ताकि मैं उनको भी
right.
समझा
So
पाऊँ। थैंक यू भैया।
I'll answer. Yes, yes. So let me answer in English so that when it goes to, the
जी
audio, everyone can take advantage. It's a
जी
very
भैया।
important question. It's a very practical question that, for example, let's talk about your case. So you came to know the spiritual laws, the spiritual knowledge, the spiritual philosophy, where we have understood, many of us have understood, and we will openly say that for me, the most important, goal is the spiritual goal. I cannot give up Krishna. I cannot give up Guru. It is definitely the case with many people who have understood their spiritual laws. But we don't have to flaunt it. We don't have to tom-tom about it, that I have become very close to God. You have to be very intelligent in this business, where the person is convinced that by becoming an IAS officer only the goal of life will be solved. You cannot change his mindset. If somebody is convinced that I have to make my son a doctor and I am willing to sacrifice Bhagavad Gita, everything, you cannot convince such a person. Best is not to try. So, and if you show a lot of your own inclination to bhakti, you may be ridiculed, you may be subjected to all kinds of taunts and remarks. So it becomes very difficult. So the best is that first the individual understands, then he notices. In my family, there are 20 members, extended families, or the chacha and the mamas and all. And within our own family, how many of them are showing inclination? They have the inclination, they have some ruchi. So if the inclination is not there, don't try. That is what Bhagavad Gita is saying. But if you see there is an inclination, then you can say something. So let's say a couple has 3 children. 2 children, they don't want to hear one word about Krishna. Don't tell him, don't force. But one child wants to know, then you tell him. So it is very delicate topic. It requires maybe half an hour, 1 hour brainstorming to unravel all the points. So that is one. But the second thing is, just because somebody has started reading Bhagavad Gita, does it mean that he shouldn't aspire to become an IAS officer or to the best doctor? My own understanding is, if a person becomes a bhakt, he will also become very much focused in his studies. He will also become very much focused in his duties, because the bhakti will entail all other qualities. So somebody who has the talent to become an IAS officer, if he reads Bhagavad Gita, I think this is a deadly combination. There is nothing to lose at all. But Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschid yatati siddhaya yatatam api siddhanam kaschid ma vetti tatvata. This knowledge will be finally known only to a few people. So it's a very mysterious topic, needs more discussions, but I think the essence is understood by most of us. Thank you.
Thank you very much,
Thank you so
Bhaiya.
much. Yeah, I think we can continue with this question probably next time. So we are, we have almost like more than in time. So thank you so much for joining, and let's continue to hear the discourses from Bhagavatam, and we'll start with a new chapter probably next week. Until then, Radhe Radhe.
बोलिए श्रीमद सद्गुरु
Sadhguru
सरकार
Sarkar
की जय, श्रीमद युगल
जय,
सरकार की जय।
जय
जय जय श्री राधे, जय जय श्री राधे, जय जय श्री राधे।
राधे
राधे राधे एवरीवन।
राधे राधे।
राधे